Hey, and welcome to the political show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix, and with me in studio we have
Gavin Instant.
Pastor Gavin Inslin and
The Black Knight.
the Black Knight, right here on the political show where Christ politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics. And you know what has been on the news for a very long time? And this is the whole Charlie Kirk story.
Yeah.
And there's still quite a bit of a debate out there in terms of who Charlie Kirk was. Was he a political activist or was he a Christian apologist? And today we're going to be speaking about that. It's going to be quite interesting. As always, Pascal, do you want to give us a more brief explanation?
Yeah. So there's the whole debate that's going down on Charlie Kirk, and people are talking about him being a political activist, and obviously to an extent there is some truth in that. In that he was basically going to universities with the aim of speaking to young people about where America comes from. And America essentially, if you actually read the U.S. Constitution, which I have, it comes out of Christian thinking. Even the system of government that was set up in America, it actually comes out of Christian thinking, where you've got the three parts of government. You've got the Congress, which creates the laws and also controls the budget in terms of what the American government can spend. You've got the administrative state, which is headed up by the president. And then, of course, you've got the judicial state, which is headed up by the judiciary. And that all three of those branches of government have equal but separate powers. So, the president cannot override Congress. Congress cannot override the president when it comes to his powers. And neither the president nor Congress can override the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court's not supposed to be able to write laws, because they're only supposed to interpret the laws that have been passed. The only ones who can make laws are the congressmen, and all of that sort of stuff. And so the reason that they made that system of government was because of the Bible standpoint, that all people have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and that therefore, there's no one righteous, not even one. So because people are sinners, you cannot give anyone absolute power. So the entire American system came out of that. And if you look at, there were people called the Puritans, who fled Europe to go to America to have be able to freely express their faith in the United States, and all of that sort of stuff. When you look at that, America was founded on Christian principles. And what often happens is the guys tell you that our Christian values now are a political issue. So things like abortion, transgenderism, all of these sorts of things have now suddenly become a political issue, and they're not. All right, it's light versus darkness, it's good versus evil. And he went round to the universities and had a massive impact on the student body, because I think people have grown tired of all of the stuff that has been propagated, through educational institutions throughout the Western world, because they're seeing that society is disintegrating before them with those values. And so Charlie Kirk went out flat out to get them back to biblical values, and a big part of his mission was to encourage young people to get married.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing of his. He also encouraged people to take the Sabbath. So, just to mention, like Candace Owens said that Charlie Kirk was about to become Catholic. But, Charlie Kirk had spoken to people, and he took the Sabbath from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. So he actually took the Jewish Sabbath.
Yeah.
So now, like the Seventh-day Adventists will say that the Sunday worship of church is a Catholic invention. So that if you worship on a Sunday, you actually submitting to the Catholics. That's what they'll say. So that's not a very good thing to do if you're going Catholic, is to treat the Saturday as a Sabbath. But we're going to focus on this thing, People are saying he was a right-wing political activist, and I'm saying no, he was a Christian apologist. And all of his policies flowed out of his belief as a Christian.
Yeah. That is what we're going to speak about. It's going to be interesting as always. We're going to get our thoughts and opinions on this matter right here on the Political Show, where Christ Politics is.
Hot politics.
Hot politics.
Is the Political Show.
By defining what a Christian apologist is. So, a Christian apologist is someone who defends, explains, and gives reason for the truth of the Christian faith. They use scripture, logic, history, philosophy, and evidence. The word apologist comes from the Greek word apologia, which means a defense or a reasoned answer. It's the same word used in 1 Peter 3 verse 15, where the Apostle Peter writes, "But in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense." That specific word defense is in the original Greek is apologia. To anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. And again, you can find that in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15. So, in essence, what a Christian apologist does is that they explain what Christians believe, so the doctrines of our faith, defend why those beliefs are true and reasonable, responds to objections or misconceptions about Christianity, engages with non-believers using reason, evidence, and scripture, and strengthens the faith of believers by providing intellectual and spiritual grounding. So that is basically the definition of a Christian apologist. Now let us look at some of the things that Charlie Kirk stood on or believed. And the first one is limited government and free markets. Strongly advocates for small government and economic freedom, argues that capitalism is the most effective system for prosperity and opportunity, criticizes the left-wing economic policy, often calling them dangerous or anti-American, and encourages students to embrace entrepreneurship, personal responsibility, self-reliance, and obviously Pastor Gavin mentioned marriage. Free speech on campus was another thing. One of his most frequent topics, claims universities suppress conservative speech and creates a cancel culture environment. Turning Point USA promotes free speech weeks and supports students who face backlash for conservative opinions, and then frames the issues as a battle against intellectual intolerance from liberal professors and student bodies. The third is American exceptionalism and patriotism. He emphasized pride in American history and values, opposes movements or curricula he views as anti-America, such as the 1619 Project. Then there was critique of big government and elites. He argued that federal outreach, bureaucracy, and high taxes harm citizens, cultural, conservative, and social issues. So he supported traditional family values and opposed the cultural left stance on gender and sexuality. Speaks out against abortion, gender ideology, and radical feminism. And then the Second Amendment and self-defense, strong advocate for gun rights and personal freedom, immigration and border security, criticism on higher education, engagement with young conservatives. So those are some of the main things that he stood for, and the foundation of Turning Point USA. So what are your thoughts on that?
Look, in terms of Charlie Kirk, I listened to him for a long time. He started the Turning Point USA movement. Sorry. And I remember prior to him, there was only this Young Republicans or something like that, movement or organization that wasn't really all that effective, on campuses. And campuses became a place, for, left-wing ideologies and things like that. And only left-wing.
Yeah.
And they didn't really care what the right wing was doing because they had the campuses. And then when Turning Point USA came along, they started becoming massive resistance, and often left-wing guys would come and they try and take on Charlie Kirk and all of this kind of stuff. But although although he was talking about political matters, he wasn't only talking about political matters. He would debate his abortion wrong. And I don't accept that abortion is a political issue. He would debate around the whole thing of transgenderism. He would debate people saying that a family can be, a gay couple or a lesbian couple. And even when you look at his take on, small government, his take on small government was informed by his Christianity. And the reason why I'm saying that is the whole thing of having this big state and this whole socialist command economy is the opposite of freedom.
Yeah.
And so, what happens is that when the state controls everything, then the state controls everything.
Yeah.
Including what they're attempting to do in South Africa now via the CRL Commission. And left-wingers always try and control the church. I don't care which country they're in charge in. They try and control the church.
Yeah.
And so, we compared the DA some time ago to the Nazis, and then we related to the ANC to the more obvious one being the Marxist-Leninists. But at the end of the day, they're both socialists.
Yeah.
And now although they call it government of national unity, essentially it's a coalition between the DA and the ANC.
Yeah.
If we're going to be perfectly honest. Now, the lady Kaluva that gets put in charge of the CRL, obviously if the DA had a problem with it, they would have bust the government up over this. They don't have a problem with it. And in fact, before the DA was in the government, this woman wasn't there. She was put back after they came into this coalition agreement with the ANC. And the DA complains about churches mushrooming all over the place just as much as the ANC does. So left-wing guys always attempt to do that. They always attempt to regulate and control the church. And I want to quote Pastor Makuba there, who leads. You can look her up if you're not in South Africa. Pastor Makuba, she's a pastor. She's a practicing, qualified clinical psychologist. She's married to a husband that's a professor. So she leads a church in Soweto. It's called Unity Fellowship Church, and they're a big church. So she started this movement, and a lot of pastors are jumping on board. Standing up against the regulation. And she made a statement and said, if the church is not free, a country is not free. There's no freedom in a country where the church is not free.
Yeah.
And that is my belief too. And so where the state controls that much, they're going to take your freedom away.
Yeah.
If you don't have economic freedom, you don't have freedom.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is why, for example, in South Africa, Julius Malema called their party the Economic Freedom Fighters. And he actually said it. If you don't have economic freedom, you don't have freedom. But how are you going to have economic freedom under a Marxist system? You're not. You've only got freedom if you're the master of your own destiny. And, so that's what Charlie Kirk was advocating for. But I'm telling you now, I can show you, because most of his political views I agreed with.
Yeah.
And I can show you, from the Bible why I agree with those values. I don't accept anything that goes against the Bible. If your policy doesn't go against the Bible, I will accept whatever policy you got.
Yeah.
I don't care, to be quite frank with
Yeah.
you. Where I have issues where it goes against the Bible. That's why if you look inside of your DA, ANC, I can't stand either of them. And I would have less problems with the Republicans because some of them do have biblical values, but they've softened massively on abortion.
That's true, yeah.
And that's a huge issue. Okay. So looking at that, his main thing was about faith.
Yeah.
And, that was his chief motivator. And that's why one of the guys, Frank Turek, which some folks are saying he was some sort of agent that was involved in. And I mean, those accusations came out within a few days that he was involved in Charlie Kirk's murder. And David Wood predicted it on the day that he was killed. On the day Charlie Kirk was killed, he went and, when Candace Owens posted how shocked she is and sad, he posted on the thing, don't worry, Candace, it was the Jews. And he said, I'm telling you now, within a week, she's going to be saying it's Israel. Choose not to.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying. So, the last thing I want to say is I don't like it when people say it's political, because they're saying, you know what, you Christians are just right-wing political activists, and your values therefore are no more important than so-called leftist values. And I don't accept the left-right paradigm anymore. It's good versus evil.
Yeah.
Abortion is evil. And if you think it's good, you and I got a problem.
Yeah. So Black Knight, I think from you, so there are certain people who are arguing, or an argument that is there in terms of Charlie Kirk is that he's not a Christian apologist in the formal or theological sense, but rather a Christian nationalist voice who blends faith with politics to appeal to a religious conservative base. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, funny thing about the whole Charlie Kirk thing,
Be careful, Black Knight. I'm gonna turn you into no Knight. I'm joking.
No Knight.
I'm joking.
Is that I actually firstly knowing him via
Did you know him before he
via
died?
the net
Did you know him before he died?
Yeah, before, yes. So
then you're more likely to know something about him.
This is the interesting thing, is that what I knew him as this guy who's always speaking about the Bible, and yes, for sure he does put politics and stuff in there, but I knew him like mostly this guy, especially with the Turning Point and the whole thing at the campuses, how he would fight the LGBTQ people and stuff like that, or society, let me say. So and then he passed on, and then I started seeing that he apparently he was like an activist too. Like honestly, I didn't even know that about him. I just knew him because there's also this one thing that one short video that he took with his wife, I think, and he posted where he mentioned that when he dies, he wants to be known for his faith. Like if he has to die for something, it would be his faith. That's one thing I heard from him. And then obviously all of this started emerging. All of these stories started emerging. And then I won't lie, I also started questioning what this guy was really. Was he really a Christian apologist, as I believe and a lot of people do, or is he just a Christian activist, if I may coin that? Because looking at it, and then when I started researching and then seeing the guy from school, he was always an activist. You get what I'm saying? The guy was always fighting things. He has that famous story.
What do you mean fighting?
For rights and stuff. There's that famous story of his. In fact, there was one thing I don't know
He
how
wasn't
true.
fighting for wrongs.
I don't know how true was that he was also a bully, but I don't really wanna focus on that. One thing he said and he spoke about is that they fought for the rising of biscuits or something at school. The price rose, and then he put together a team, and then they started protesting against the rising of that stuff. So one thing I'm seeing is that the guy, growing up, that means this guy was an activist, like from school. So it might for me, what I'm looking at, what happened is that he became a Christian afterwards. So for me, I think he's a Christian activist. So hence why he's gonna also go along with the right wing. I know Pastor Gav doesn't want to use those paradigms, but I'm gonna use them. That's why he's he's gonna go with the right wing. Because
can I just say why I'm saying that?
Can I just finish this?
I just want to say why. Okay, the right wing versus the left wing. It used to be a debate about economics. Okay, so there was like and I mean, we're not going to go into it now, but there to the right of the spectrum and the left, there were actually economic principles at play there. And now if you're left wing, you pro transgender, LGBT.
Yeah, but you can
always
take a term and then it means something else.
Yes, I know. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying it's actually good versus evil. And we must stop talking about the leftists because some of these oaks on the right are crackpots too. In fact, in the old days, they claimed Hitler was on the right.
Ha!
Just remember that.
That's true.
I don't want to be related to Hitler. And Hitler was not a biblical guy.
Yeah.
Hitler believed in evolution, which is the same as the leftists.
Yeah.
So they all believed we were monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my take is that he was an activist who became a Christian.
I think
Became a Christian.
I don't.
Or
I
Christian,
don't
he
think-
became an activist.
No, cause in school he first was active in terms of fighting the
For
rising
biscuits.
the rising of biscuits and whatnot. So he showed that spirit before he showed the Christian
so-
spirit. So I think
So he was a
that's
biscuit
why.
fighter. And then he became a Christian.
But if you put it like that, hence why I'll put the term activist, because an activist will fight for things like
I like
that.
the fact that he fought for biscuits.
I look. I don't.
Are you
think,
sure about that?
No, I am, because
Guys, you heard it here first, the
He-
political show. Charlie Kirk's thing started, he actually,
no, I
he,
think
he had an activist campaign to
I
stop
think-
the price of biscuits in the school going up.
yes, I think if you actually follow his story when you listen,
So therefore,
to
it can't be a right-winger
he
because he's
started-
pro-poor.
That's where his
pro-poor,
activism
'cause
started.
You see, right-wingers are always pro-rich. He can't be right-wing. It must be because he's pro-poor there. He's fighting for the price of biscuits. And that's going to affect the poor kids, isn't it?
I don't know if I agree with Black Knight that much. Let me just get what
I'm
saying.
not shocked.
I think what's this
But I mean, he
It's one of
became,
those-
at least we agree, he became a Christian
yeah,
activist.
yes, he was a
So
Christian.
we're not sure if we think he was first a Christian activist.
I would say he's more of a. So this is where the fine line is drawn between what is an activist and what is an apologist, because I feel like in the society that we are now, if you speak on Christian, when you speak on Christian faith and you speak on Christian beliefs, they automatically call you an activist. They don't look at the fact that you are defending what the Bible says and you're proving. I mean, we read the definition of what an apologist is. They are using intellectual evidence and all of these things to prove what the Bible says. Jesus spoke about abortion.
But you were telling us before the show you won an argument with ChatGPT.
Yes, I was
eventually-
debating with ChatGPT about
And it admitted you were right.
about
Guys, geeks beat ChatGPT. I tried to debate Grok on climate change and I couldn't get it to change.
Yeah.
Grok was stubborn.
So basically, was having a debate with ChatGPT in terms of whether
Guys,
Charlie Kirk
that's a
was
political show. We debate the AI engines.
whether Charlie Kirk was an activist or an apologist, and basically the conclusion was that he's not a traditional apologist. And whenever we think of apologist, it's only based on is evolution right or whatever. But then when we go into more about what the Bible covers, yes, we can find evidence outside the Bible and in the Bible of Jesus' resurrection, death, and whatever. But Jesus also covered other topics that at that time were not political topics, but have been brought up as political topics now. When the Bible spoke about abortion and all of those things, they were not political topics then. It was Christian beliefs, the morals, and all of these things that now society has turned into politics. So now if I'm ministering to someone and I'm speaking about abortion, I'm not being political. I'm speaking on what the Word of God says about abortion. So that's why I think that he was more of an apologist than an activist, but his primary focus was on what society looks at as political. Because if he stood in the same campuses and he spoke about Jesus' resurrection or whatever, they would have then called him something religious, extremist, religious extremist.
It's about Jesus.
Not even Charlie. If he spoke up, if his campaigns were about proving that Jesus did resurrect and all of these things, they would have called him a religious extremist. They wouldn't have called him an apologist. So that's why I think that they've kind of chucked away this whole thing of you can be an apologist and speak about all of these different things. That's basically my thought. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Final thoughts, Pastor Gav?
No, that's my position.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of being called a right winger, because with right winger comes the connotation that as a white person I'm anti-black. Number one, with right winger comes a connotation that I'm anti-poor, and I'm not anti-poor. I believe in reaching out to the poor. We do it in the church, that I'm leading. So the fact of the matter is, we take positions on moral values. Yeah. In a world that is increasingly pointed towards evil, the only way to defeat an argument for righteousness is to say it's a political argument.
Yeah.
And in terms of Charlie Kirk, that's exactly what's happened. And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people wanted Charlie Kirk dead. There were a lot of people who celebrated. Now there's all sorts of claims saying that his wife, and apparently even Joe Rogan has said it, although I need to hear it. I've only seen other people say that he said it. That Charlie Kirk's wife, was involved in his murder, and all of that sort of stuff. All I know is she never expressed in public that she wanted to kill him. A lot of people wanted him dead, and many of them celebrated when he died. Now, what did Charlie Kirk's wife say when he died? You think you've killed Turning Point? You think you've killed what he did? It's only just started. So now there's this massive disinformation campaign to discredit the people who've taken over Turning Point USA, in my view, so as to smash his legacy. And how do you do that? By saying, no, you people killed him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to think about what these people are saying about Erica Kirk. Because her and her kids were watching. They were there on the day. So Erica Kirk takes her kids, and then she knows he's about to be shot. And they sit there, and she has them watching with her as her husband gets shot dead. What kind of an evil monster of a person must you be
Yeah.
to force your kids watch their father get shot dead? Surely you need to have quite a bit of evidence,
Yeah.
more than what these people have, to be able to say that.
Yeah.
So Charlie Kirk was a Christian activist or a Christian apologist, and today a Christian apologist has to get involved in the political sphere, because when Christians leave this political sphere alone, the political sphere doesn't leave the church alone.
Yeah.
And so we have to defend the church,
Yeah.
or we have no freedom at all.
That's true.
That's my final thoughts
Black
about it.
Knight, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that I think as Christians we need to just be careful with, once again, with the whole political game, because it looks like we are being dragged into politics, and then next thing you know, Christians are also being called politicians, and then as soon as the political structure falls, because it is gonna fall. In fact, we can see a rapid decrease on people's faith in terms of government and politics. So, sorry, maybe using the wrong term, politics, government. So if the church is busy finding themselves into this government system, is that what's going to happen is when the government falls, it'll try and take down the church with. So we need to be careful, and obviously as Charlie Kirk did, which is, I believe he did do that, we try and separate the two and let people know what we are really in it for, so that when it happens to us, when we die, that there won't be silver lines or gray lines for people to read. They will know what we were standing for.
Yeah.
So I think that's my take.
Yeah. In Micah 6 verse 8, it says, "He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God."
A lot of what Charlie Kirk spoke about was that. And he spoke about something, a lot, talking about the family. talking about living for the Lord, talking about taking a Sabbath day. And he actually spoke about, switching your cell phone off. And that from sundown on a Friday until sundown on a Saturday, his phone would go off and his time was devoted to the Lord, to his wife, and to his kids. That was it. And, she traveled, his wife traveled with him wherever he went, but often he was away from home because of the thing, but he'd always be home on a Saturday and, take a Sabbath. And he also was seriously promoting the idea that people should get married and things like that. And, so therefore he was worried about far more just than a political system or anything like that, because he believed, as I do, that if the family falls apart, that there goes a nation. And there's a whole lot of rubbish that people get focused on today. And the thing is, we need to learn to read the word, as that verse was saying, and to focus on the Lord, focus on our walk with the Lord, and focus on being a witness to as many people as we can about the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I want to encourage you to do that, because if you do that, then life becomes a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Life is very complicated when you're going to listen to all these videos. You know what I mean, Black Knight, these videos about there were no planes in 9/11, and all of that sort of stuff. And there was a whole lot of bombs in the Twin Towers that made the buildings implode. All of those theories, which, as I said, what year were you born?
96.
96. Yeah, so the first time I heard that and I saw a video of that was, there was no YouTube or anything like that. It was in about 2002 or 2003. A Muslim guy showed me this. And, at the end of the day, you can get caught up on all of these sorts of things. But it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. The issue is whether planes or not doesn't matter for us. Yeah, in Joburg, it doesn't really matter.
True.
What difference does it make? They're saying it was an excuse for war. The other theory is that it was an excuse to blow up those Twin Towers because it was holding a whole lot of, it was going to destroy the evidence of a whole lot of fraud and all sorts of transactions and reactions and practications and all sorts of things. But the thing is, we don't know.
Yeah.
We debate it. Black Knight and I, we debate whether they're planes or not. But we weren't there. Neither of us were standing on a rooftop in New York City the day that 9/11 happened. We weren't there. In fact, Black Knight was in nappies when it happened. All right, literally.
True.
Probably weren't even 5 years old yet. But the thing is, at the end of the day, we know what the word says. We know what's right in terms of our lives.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage you all, to live for the Lord and to guide and make disciples as Jesus proclaimed we should do just before we ascended to heaven in Matthew 18. Matthew 28, 18 to 20. Thank you.
Amen. This has been an amazing show. As always, right here on The Political Show. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was an activist, or do you think that he was an apologist? Let us know your thoughts below. I'm your girl, Cynthia, but you can call me Gigs. And with me in studio, we've had
Gavin Inston.
Pastor Gavin Inston and
The Black
Knight, right here on The Political Show, where Christ politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics.